I have no sleeper. I guess the only sleeper would be is if their bus breaks down and they have to forfeit.
Breck docked me half a day's pay. I just got excited, man. I mean, I look talking about these rankings.
And welcome back, football fans, to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire. This is episode number 2. We're diving headfirst into the 2025 Mississippi High School football preview. I'm Breck Riley, your host, voice of the Kosciuszko Whippets. We got a jam-packed show to get you ready and hyped for the season from 7A to 1A in MHSAA, and even taking a look over into the MAIS. We're breaking down power rankings for each classification. Those power rankings brought to you by Pine Straw of America. We're going to give you our predictions for who's going to play in the state championship game in each classification and who's going to win it and who might be there, a dark horse that could kind of throw a wrench into the suspected, usual suspects. And we're also going to unveil our Varsity Voices all-state team. It's going to be an explosive episode, so strap in and let's kick off the season right here. This is our pregame show, fueled by flavor, thanks to The Oxford Falls. From zesty Sizemore sauce marinade to their bold buffalo wing sauce, it's game day flavor done right. You can grab yours at theoxfordfalls.com. Free shipping on orders over $100. Just welcome back the crew: Jake Wimberly, Brandon Davis, Jared Schatz. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything, we need to know the ingredients about how we got these power rankings, and that's where Jake Wimberly, the best hair in the business, comes in. So Jake, tell us how you arrived at these power rankings, because much like last week, you can always say, well, Jake's a Brandon guy, Jared's a Germantown guy, they just put their buddies in there. Well, that's not what we did, because it's like a method to the madness.
Guys, there is a method to the madness when you start talking about power rankings, and nothing is an exact science, when it comes down to this. Collegiately, the National Football League, I've said this before, there's a lot of data that we have at our fingertips, from, quarterback rankings to QBRs, some people call it that, to offensive and defensive scoring efficiency, talent metrics, and more. With high school, we just don't have that kind of data at our fingertips. We've got some stuff that we can put our hands on, like returning quarterback play, offensive scoring numbers, defensive scoring numbers, trends, home versus road games and things of that nature. So that's kind of what we did, is we took the data that we had available and put it into an algorithm, and then we were able to kind of say, hey, does this pass the eye test? Because I think sometimes you have to look at it and say, does it pass the smell test or the eye test? And I think that's what we did here. And again, this is a preseason version of this. When we get a couple weeks into the season, we'll have some data that we can play with and create kind of a power poll of sorts, and then we'll be able to get into, also strength of schedule that comes into play, because some schedules aren't, and this is not a shot, but I mean, if you're playing on the Gulf Coast and maybe you're a Harrison Central or maybe you're a Gulfport, your strength of schedule may not be as strong as, say, a Tupelo or a Germantown or Madison Central. So having fun with it. And look, we're looking forward to having these out, rolling these out today.
And Brandon Davis, voice of the Warren Central Vikings, and we'll ask you, Brandon, what was something that stuck out to you about these power rankings, or maybe a classification that you think is going to be really interesting when we get there to break it down?
Well, good to be here with you guys. And I think, I've always been amazed with Jake when he's done the collegiate rankings, but bringing it to the high school level is really fascinating if you think about it. And what it does, taking away the human element of it. And I love the baseline that is currently setting. I think looking at the 7A, though, one that really surprises me is further down the list. You look at 17 at Pearl. Jack Durr is planning to be back this year, starting quarterback at Pearl. He is just a great quarterback, comes from a coaching family, and Pearl's always extremely tough. I would expect to see them a little higher in this ranking. Also, Germantown as well. I know Jared will talk about that, but I love the baseline that this sets, and I think it's a great way to start the season.
Speaking of Jared Schatz, the voice of the Germantown Mavericks, as Brandon alluded to, Jared, you're right there to thick of things in the Madison County, so you know a lot about these teams. So what was something that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I would say just the fact that how close 1 through 10 really are. I mean, it's we talk about college football, NFL, the margin of error is very thin. Well, it's the same way in Mississippi high school football, really at any level, but especially in the upper levels, 5, 6, 7A. And it's amazing how, one, you get that uniqueness of how in the world are you guys able to put these numbers together? Well, I know I can't take credit for it. We call Wimberly the wizard for a reason, but fantastic that you're going to get that on this show, is that you're going to get the uniqueness of high school football power rankings. Just tremendous all around. But, yeah, just to see the margin of error between really just the top 10 alone.
And as we said, these rankings, which we're going to go over the top 10 when we get to each quarter, we'll go over the top 10, and then the rest of them, all 1 through however many are in each division, say like 25 or 26, or when you get to the bigger classifications, 40 or however many's there, those will be online at scrn.live. So if you don't hear your team in the top 10, it's not because we hate your team or anything like that. Like, I think people in West Point think that we don't like them. They love us in Winston County this week after the last one. Everybody in Winston County. The folks in Clay County, I might have to change my address. But the West Point people were a little hot about coming in at third place. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not because we don't like your team. We love all teams. But scrn.live is where you'll go to find the complete list of rankings. And as we said, those rankings brought to you by Pine Straw of America. Keep your yard looking perfect all year with Pine Straw of America, experts in premium longleaf pine straw. You can join their exclusive subscription program and enjoy fresh, flawless straw on schedule every season. That's Pine Straw of America, fresh year round. You can check out 4.9 out of 5 reviews on Google. Hopefully, I think as I said, in Winston County, we probably got a 5 out of 5 on Google. Some of these other places, they might have the Varsity Voices way down as far as our power rankings. And that's our pregame show presented by the Oxford Falls and Sizemore Catering. So coming up on the other side of the break, we will have kickoff and our first quarter where we will break down the 7A power rankings.
She had a good coach that pointed her in the right direction, and we were able to get to her quick enough, and she's young and healthy enough that she's going to have a great outcome.
I would say the biggest difference is just how Dr. Moss explained everything. I went into my second surgery knowing exactly what after surgery was going to look like, what during surgery was going to look like, and it just made me feel a lot more comfortable and confident with my outcome.
It's 3rd and 6 from the 40-yard line.
Sure you're ready for this?
He takes a snap, drops back.
What's the right situation for a flea flicker?
They should have been in nickel defense in that
There's
situation.
a nickel and a dime?
Now for a proper bull rush start and 3-point stance.
What a disastrous play call.
Ready or not, here we go.
Hey, Dad.
You can call me Coach.
It's amazing what C Spire's nationwide 5G network can connect. C Spire, inspired by you.
And there is kickoff for our first quarter. Welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire. First quarter is presented by Mississippi Sports Medicine. Whether you're on the field or in the stands, get back to what you love fast. So as we said, the first quarter is going to be all about the 7A rankings, and we will go ahead and count down from 10. As we mentioned, we're only going to talk about the top 10. The rest can be found online at scrn.live. Coming in at number 10, something Jared knows a little bit about, the Germantown Mavericks, number 9 up in Oxford. The Chargers are at number 9, Northwest Rankins number 8. The Petal Panthers, number 7. Starkville. The Yellow Jackets come in at number 6, rounding out the top 5. The Greyhounds of Ocean Springs. Then you got the Jaguars and Madison Central in the top 3. Oak Grove. And then the top 2, Brandon and Tupelo. That was last year's championship game. And it's also going to be here in about, 9-10 days? Not even that long, like 10 days away from that game. And Jake Wimberly will be on the call for that game, voice of the Bulldogs. So we'll just lead right into that, throw it over to Jake, and he can help us talk about these 7A power rankings, what stands out about the top 10.
Yeah, guys, one thing to note, if you're a fan of say, Petal, and you see that Madison Central is 11.1, points higher. That doesn't mean that on the field that we think that they're necessarily 11 points higher, or that Brandon is, 14.2 points better than Oak Grove. That's strictly just a number identifier, on the field, and we can get into this during the season. We'll be able to. I can tell you right now, Tupelo is probably at least mathematically about a 3.5 to 4 point favorite over Brandon. That's more so than what's on those. So it's the difference in numbers. But I think when you look at where we're at with these power rankings, Tupelo had a chance to see them on Monday, and they look the part. They're big, they're physical, they're fast. Everything on the table for a repeat. Brandon, very similar, team where they've got just about everybody back. Oak Grove has a very, very good football team. This year they've got a quarterback that they really believe in. Madison Central, Toby Collins told me after he saw the rankings, he said that, hey, we're probably a little too high here. He said we're young, but we're going to be better through the year. Ocean Springs, they played in 2 of the last 3 South State championships. Starkville, and we'll talk more about this in our, kind of our sleeper segment. Starkville and Petal, are teams that, both have new quarterbacks. They have some new players. They've got really good coaches. And then you get down to, Northwest Oxford and Germantown, Gulfport could have a say to get into this top 10. And then as Brandon said earlier, somebody like Pearl with Jack Durr, we'll see what they do. But I think it's a pretty good pretty good representation of what the top 10 should be in 7A.
Yeah, I would agree. All the usual suspects are there, and Brandon Davis, you kind of touched on it a little bit in the pregame show, about some of the other ones that are a little bit down further. But what stood out to you about the power rankings, say the top 10 in 7A?
Well, first off, I'll apologize. Uncle Breck docked me half a day's pay. I just got excited, man. I mean, I look talking about these rankings. I mean, I like Pearl. Pearl being down at 17, I would have ranked them a little bit higher, based on, what we know with Jack Durr coming back. Just a great quarterback, was out last year to a bad knee, but I'd rank them a little higher. But I like what I see in the top 5, and really by the top 7, I think it looks good. Like I said, we talked about it earlier. This is a great baseline to start the season of what we're trying to look at. And, this looks pretty good to me.
And Jared Schatz, obviously, you know a lot about the Germantown Mavericks and probably about Northwest Rankin. You're going to see those two teams squaring off here in week 1 in just a few weeks. So as far as those two squads and some of the other metro area teams, what stood out to you?
Yeah, Northwest Rankin and Germantown really going to battle in the latter half of that top 10 here very, very soon. So there'll be some shaking up, if you will. The top 5 looks great. I think absolutely that it's dead on. I think 6 through 10 is one of those you could all put them inside of a cylinder, shake them up, and you couldn't go wrong with any of them that you pulled out. But look, they're going to play a lot of these games on paper. It's all going to sort itself out. But it's fun to talk about, right? I mean, high school analytics. Nobody's doing this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to that note, we will go with our predictions. We said we were going to do it, so when we go back around to everyone, what we need to hear from you is going to be the 2 teams that are going to be there, Starkville, Mississippi, first weekend in December. Who is a sleeper that if one of your 2 teams were to slip up, who's that third team that you think could slot themselves in there for that, and who is your champ? Who are you picking to bring home that gold ball there from Starkville in 7A? So we'll throw it right back out to Jake Wimberly and get his thoughts on his picks for 7A.
Yeah, and again, this is all things considered equal. That all these teams have full exposure to players. No players, big players are out on injury. There's a lot that can change. There's a lot of dynamics that can change. For instance, Brandon, what does their team look like under Lance Pogue this year? What is a new quarterback at Starkville, a new quarterback at Petal? But for me, it does come down to Brandon and Tupelo, and we'll see those two here, as you said, Breck, in about 10 days play in Brandon to open the season. I think those 2 teams are the 2 best teams in 7A, and I think that they will meet again at the end of the season again in Starkville. And for me, it's a lot of people will say this is a homer pick just because I'm 15 years in with the Dogs, but it's all about quarterback play for me. And I know Jared has spoke of it when you look at Gillum, the quarterback at Tupelo last year, how good he was for Tupelo. JJ Hill, Mr. 7A Player of the Year, rightfully so. He's a handful. That offensive front's a handful. But I think Sladen Shack, you could make a case that he's the best quarterback or one of the best in the state of Mississippi. And I think that the way Lance Pogue is going to use players like Preston Ashley and Lahari Bowles and some others, Trey McQueen, on the offensive and defensive side, much like Travis Hunter at Colorado, Lance Pogue has done that his entire career. I think at the end of the day, if Brandon is healthy, Slade and Shaq is the difference. And I think Brandon finally gets their first state championship against Tupelo in December. Now, if I'm talking about a sleeper, I'm looking at Starkville. I'm looking at John Carr. I'm looking at a new quarterback out of the state of Louisiana, out of Baton Rouge, who is just a extremely impressive young man. So, look at Starkville, look at Petal, and I've said this before, if you want an alternate sleeper championship game, give me Starkville versus Petal, man. That would be fun.
The Tupelo, Brandon, I think there's going to be a lot of those across the board. A lot of people will pick that, but we will go over to Brandon Davis and get his thoughts on the favorites, the sleeper, and the championship picks.
Yeah, very similar to what Wimberley had. I'm going to take Tupelo and Brandon to be in Starkville playing this game. And Jake, we've talked about this, and again, no disrespect at all to Sam Williams. I love Sam Williams, but I think what Brandon has been missing over the past few years has been the physicality of what Lance Pogue brings to this team. Lance is just a fantastic coach, and if you go back, and I pulled some numbers to look at, in the first year, I'm excluding Eupora because that's kind of an outlier year, but his first year when he was at, he was at South Panola, Jackson Academy, Heritage Academy, and then Columbia. He's averaging 11 wins his first stop at a location. Put Brandon's talent with his ability to coach and with his ability of teaching kids how to play the game the way he wants it to be played, and you really got something there. I think that Brandon is going to bounce back. I think they can get their first ball this year in Starkville. Sleeper picks, I could see John Carr in Starkville. We talked about him. I love John Carr, a fantastic coach. He came over to a very bad Clinton program, was able to bring them out of the ashes. They had some big wins against Warren Central last year on the road, also beat Brandon at home. Just a very good coach, and a huge loss for Clinton seeing him go up to Starkville. And I tell you, I like Germantown. It's time, guys. You have all the talent in the world. You have a good coaching staff. You have the fan support. It is time to put it together and do something. But, I could see a sleeper. I love Marcus Bowles and Petal. I mean, they're flying under the radar down in South Mississippi, and I would not be surprised to see Petal make some type of a run this year in 7A.
Yeah, and speaking of Germantown, we got the voice of Germantown, Jared Schatz, here with us. So, Jared, what do you think about the championship picks? Who's going to be there? The Mavericks, they have a chance to be there. What's it going to look like in Starkville that first weekend of December?
Yeah, guys, look, so many contenders. It's 7A football. Tupelo, Brandon, man, they're just such good programs. We talked about the greatest programs of all time. These two have just really been the programs the last couple of years. Madison Central, we know about Madison Central. They lost a ton from last year, 30-something seniors. Toby Collins, I think he's one of the best at really adapting to his personnel. They can throw it when they have the personnel. They can run it. He's so good at just not being stubborn and being very creative with his personnel. Get them early. They're very young. They'll get better as the season goes along. Oak Grove losing a lot of guys, always a contender with Coach Causey and crew. Kellen Hall is going to have a really good year at quarterback. Starkville, I'm telling you, I cannot emphasize this enough. John Carr's offense is just hell to deal with. Just because of the way they spread you out. They have a physicality to them, but they're going to go vertically. They're going to go horizontally. It's just not fun. And they'll upset some folks this year, and they've got a chance to stay home and play for a championship. Yes, my dark horse, there's no homer hat here. Germantown, I could easily see them making North State. Will they make the championship? I think some things have to go right. If not now, win for Germantown to make a run. Tupelo's gone out of the district. You got new coaches at Clinton, Starkville. MC's very young. 15 returning starters on this Maverick squad, a lot of those on offense. It's really going to depend on two things, guys. Quarterback King White, how consistent can he be? He's a playmaker, but how consistent can he be? He's got it in him. We'll see if he can pull it out of, consistently every week. And can the defense get stops more consistently? They've gotten better every year. Coach Mitchell's done a better job every year. So they're definitely the dark horse. All that said, I'm going Brandon and Tupelo in a rematch, and I think the Golden Wave, I think they're going to win it again. Now, I could see them losing a couple games early. It's really when you look at the quarterback position with them, I think they don't really get the credit last year. Quarterback Noah Gillen did not get the credit he deserved. He's gone. I know they got J.J. Hill. They have all these weapons, watch out for Tupelo. Of course, Ocean Springs and Petal and all these guys in the South will have something to say about it as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to make it across the board with my picks. I got Tupelo and Brandon also to be in the championship game. Just too much there. Unfinished business for Brandon, as well. But I think that my sleeper pick got to be Petal. I like the Panthers and what they have down there in South Mississippi with a lot of starters. 8 starters coming back. They got the Wells kid, the edge rusher, committed to South Alabama, and so I like what Petal does. But I'm with Shots, and I think that it's going to be Tupelo that is going to hoist the gold ball there in Starkville and bring home back-to-back state championships in 7A. So that's what our picks is. Pretty much what it was split, right? Jared and I took Tupelo. Brandon and Jake took the Brandon Bulldogs. So, that is we didn't plan that out. That's just because we don't know what each other's picks are. And so that's not like we had planned out anything. But I'm surprised that old Jake Wimberly went with Tupelo and Brandon, and that he didn't go with the Pearl Pirates because. What Jake, you're gonna have to explain this. What is this, Jake? What is this? Jake Wimberly. Benedict Wimberly. What is this?
Yeah, I got a lot of explaining to do, right?
Yes.
And I think I've said it before. Brandon Davis would be my attorney on this. So, Brandon, you want to help me out here?
Yeah.
I don't like your chances if Davis is your attorney, but okay.
It's like
I want to be a fly on the wall when he shows up looking like that.
It's like a Better Call Saul type moment.
For those that can't see that are listening, Jake is embracing someone at the Pearl at Ray Rogers State. Is it Ray Rogers? Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Yep. Ray Rogers, not Ray Rice.
Ray
Rogers. Ray Rogers Stadium at Pearl. He's got on a Pearl jersey, and he's hugging someone. So this a description for those listening. So that Brandon Davis, present your case.
As the attorney for Mr. Wimberly, he's paying me handsomely, by the way. The things you do for your children, that's all I'll say, and I'm going to allow Jake to elaborate on that. But, yeah, I mean, he's hugging Jack Durries and Ray Rogers. It's okay. Jake, explain yourself.
Yeah, there for Senior Day, like you said, the things you'll do for kids. And, of course, there to celebrate the seniors for Pearl, Jack Durr, somebody that I've known for a long time since he was, a 7th grader, 8th grader in the, football ranks there of the, central Mississippi area. So just really giving him a congratulatory there, celebrating the kids. And then, of course, got called out on it. And a lot of people thought, hey, you're headed to Pearl. But that is not true, by the way.
Yeah, like I said, the Brandon faithful thought that the bag man from Pearl was dropping off bags over at Pear Orchard Road outside the WRKS studios there, and Jake was just faking deliveries. He got that NIL deal. But Jake, so we're here to set the record straight. That's not the case.
Not the case at all. Not the case. We'll be at Bulldog Stadium, ready to go here in a couple weeks.
Ready to go. Well, we are ready to go as that wraps up the first quarter of our power rankings, taking a look at the 7A. And that's our picks. As we said, the first quarter brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine. When we come back, we will get into the 6A. And I have a feeling that Best Dressed there with the Windsor Knot tie is going to have a lot to say about the 6A power rankings. So we will step aside for a break. We come back. We will continue here on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire.
At Atmos Energy, we believe affordable, reliable, and efficient natural gas is essential to achieving a low-carbon energy future. We're committed to helping protect the environment by providing smart choice solutions to help customers reduce energy use and lower their carbon footprint. Get a rebate up to $600 off qualifying high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy, your natural gas company.
Delicious, savory barbecue doesn't happen by accident, and great wings don't happen by accident either. Whether you're heating up the smoker or firing up the grill, the award-winning crafted in Mississippi finishing sauces and marinades of the Oxford Falls makes every meal a masterpiece and every bite unforgettable. The Oxford Falls helps make every mouth-watering meal one to remember. Shop now at theoxfordfalls.com and get free shipping on orders over $100.
Genuine Mississippi, grown and raised and crafted, made. Genuine Mississippi.
And welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast, presented by Spire. Spire, the best teams know how to get even better. See how Spire constantly enhances their wireless, fiber, internet, and business solutions for you, Spire customer inspired. Our second quarter, we're going to start taking a look at the 6A power rankings, and our second quarter is presented by Atmos Energy. Call 811 before you dig, and we're just going to jump right into the 6A power rankings. As we mentioned in the top of the broadcast, we're just going to go over the top 10. If you want to see the rest of the power rankings through number 23-24, go to scrn.live. But it'll be Gaucher coming in at number 10, the Gators of Gaucher. Then you got Pascagoula at number 9. Some more Gators, like Cormorant, coming in at number 8. Terry is at number 7. Warren Central, the Vikings, at number 6. They're rounding out the top 5. South Panola, you got Hattiesburg, you got West Jones, and then the top 2, Picayune and Grenada. So, jumping right in, guys, let's just go ahead and start breaking it down. What do you think about the rankings? And to give us your, just like last time, your 2 title participants, a sleeper, and your championship pick. As always, we start off with the hair, Jake Wimberly.
Guys, Grenada, they have been just kind of a bulldozer here the last 24 months in 6A, losing a championship a couple years ago to West Jones and then getting one finally against Hattiesburg this past year. Picayune, a name that we know that is going to be here, it seems like, year in and year out. For me, if I'm picking a championship game, I think the 2 teams at the top are going to be the 2 teams. And this will not necessarily be the theme all the way through this, but at least for 7A and 6A, Grenada Picayune, for me, that's the 2 best teams in 6A this year. And I'm going to give the nod to the Maroon Tide this year. I think they return, enough players to where, what they do defensively and offensively, their line of scrimmage team is as good as anybody in the state. I've got Picayune winning 6A this year over Grenada. Grenada returns a lot. They return a quarterback. They return a lot of skill position talent, but I like Picayune. If I'm going with a sleeper here, I'm going to look towards Vicksburg and my buddy Brandon Davis and Warren Central. He'll speak of them here in a minute. But, they have been so close, and I've said this about Warren Central before, is, you can shut your eyes and go to sleep and then wake up, and Warren Central is always deep in a playoff run. At some point, like Germantown, they're going to make that next step over. So I like Warren Central as a sleeper here.
Yeah, so without further ado, Brandon Davis is going to have a lot to say about 6A. This is his bread and butter. So, Brandon Davis, tell us a little bit about the 6A favorites, sleepers, and your championship pick.
Well, first off, Jake, I'm going to send that $20 back to you for me picking Brandon. I'm picking the Golden Wave in 7A. I'm changing my mind. No, just joking. No, I agree with you. I like your pick. And 6A here, though, one thing that really stands out to me, and most folks aren't going to be able to see it, is Ridgeland down at 15. I like Ridgeland in the top 10 because Todd McDaniel, in his 3rd year at Ridgeland, running that wing T offense, he is one of the better wing T coaches that you're going to see anywhere around. He's amazing. He's in his 3rd year. They have a tough team. They went last year to South Panola in the first round and just about beat South Panola, gave them all they wanted. I really, really like Ridgeland. DK Wallace, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in 6A this year. I think they're going to be a team that you have to watch out for. But my pick in Starkville is going to be Picayune Maroon Tide. Love Cody Stogner and what they do down there. And I'm going to say that the local boys finally come home in Warren Central. If you guys know, if you're driving on 25, Morgantown, you'll see the big sign. That's where all the Morgans are from. I think that Warren Central is finally going to get over the hump this year, beat Grenada and South Panola and get up there. Grenada, no offense to you, I think that not having McCaleb Taylor anymore is really going to hurt them this year. We saw what happened last year in the North State game. game between between Grenada and Warren Central. Caleb Taylor was the difference. He was the difference in the title game. But I'll tell you what, I can't pick Warren Central because that's a kiss of death. I'm going to give it to Cody Stogner, my boy down there, and let him have the worst luck. But no, I really do like Picayune in the game against Warren Central. I think the Maroon Tide, they are due. They've got 14 starters returning, and they've got one of the best offensive linemen, Mitchell Smith, and then Nolan Smith, going to Alabama at defensive lineman. They're just stacked on both trenches, and I really like the Maroon Tide in 6A.
All right, so Jared Schatz, let's toss it over to you and get your thoughts on these 6A championship predictions.
Breck, Davis stole my thunder with Ridgeland, man. I love it, though. I had 14 returning starters for Ridgeland. I was going to talk about the wing T offense, so let me just throw that paper up and get rid of it. But, yeah, DK Wallace and Todd McDaniel running that thing, you better catch them early because when that thing starts gelling and they get rid of some of those pre-snap penalties, they're going to be dangerous. West Jones, I wouldn't call them a dark horse. They won it a couple of years ago. With Tootie Lindsay back and a really good offensive line. They're going to be there at the end. Pascagoula. Very, very good defense. We'll see how far they can make a run in South State. A lot of people feel like South Panola is going to have a really good year this year, maybe their best chance to win it since 2014. Look, Warren Central, at some point they're going to get one, and I root for them every year, and it's going to happen at some point. Nash Morgan's going to take a step up this year at quarterback. They've got the best kicker in the probably the state, in Jonah Artman. But Grenada and Picayune, that's who I'm going with for the state championship to meet. I love the way these two teams play. It would be a slobber knocker if they meet in Starkville. What is it, 3 offensive line coaches or 3 former offensive line guys that are coaches at Grenada? I mean, where's the emphasis there? And then we know what Picayune does with Stogler. So I'll take Picayune beating Grenada. Y'all stole my thunder on that as well, but hey, great minds think alike sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to quit going last because it's going to sound like a broken record because I'm going with Picayune and Grenada for my championship picks as well, just like the Maroon Tide and what they do down there. And as Jared said, Grenada's got that pedigree. They got some meat. They got some meat up there in Grenada. They know what to do with it. But I am, and Jared also touched on this a little bit. My sleeper is going to be the Mustangs from down there in West Jones. That's who I'm rolling with as I said, if you want to call them a sleeper, they're number 3, right? But Tootie Lindsay, great athlete there, and you remember what was it? Was it 2 years ago when West Jones played up in Oxford? When the fog came through, we couldn't see anything on the field. So kind of gave a little bit of a vibe there. So yeah, I'm thinking that West Jones is going to be my sleeper. So I've had Grenada and Picayune, and I also like the Maroon Tide to win that one. So I'll say this: Coach Gray's down in McAdams, right here in Italic County. I talked to him this week, and he's a Picayune guy. And like the folks up in Clay County were mad at us. Coach Gray's couldn't believe that Picayune came in it wasn't in the top 10. So maybe I get some more street cred with the Bulldogs in McAdams and Coach Gray's that I am picking the Maroon Tide to win it. But Brandon, did you have something you wanted to add here before we move on to 5A?
Yeah, thank you, Uncle Breck. So I wanted to just correct myself. That defensive lineman at Picayune is Nolan Wilson. I think he's an Alabama commit, Jake, and just a great player down there. But Cody Stogner does a great job with his offense and his defensive lines. But and Jared hit on something, one of the sleepers. I didn't give a sleeper for 6A. I love what Lewis Sims and Pascagoula are putting together. Maybe the best defense you're going to see in 6A football. If they can put it together on defense, I think you're going to see a big surprise out of the Panthers out of the South Mississippi this year.
So that's our 6A picks, and we'll wrap up 6A. Before we do, we want to tell you about Environment Masters. They are our studio sponsor, hassle-free plumbing, electrical, and AC. You can visit them at environmentmasters.com, and it's going to be pretty hot this week, so you might want to go get that AC definitely worked at. As far as our studio, guys, if you have anything in your studio you want to show, like I said, the Environment Master Studio, I got the Ethel Tigers right here, my Ethel Tigers helmet, Coach Junior Graham from up at Ethel, the Hall of Famer, brought me this out to the radio station. I got a chance to go see those guys practice this week. Ethel, he's going to have the Tigers rolling. But, yeah, there you go, little Ethel Tigers right there. Brandon, you were pointing. What's in the back of your studio?
Yeah, man. So I've got the best fictional football coaches. Yeah, Danny O'Shea from Little Giants. I don't know. I got a lot of criticism over that, but you got Danny O'Shea. I'm nothing else. That's all I'm going to say.
Danny O'Shea?
Danny O'Shea, Little Giants, man.
Wait, was that Rick Moranis, or was that?
Yes,
that
was the brother.
Okay, that was the younger brother. Okay, yeah.
That's right.
The Honey, I Shrunk the Kids brother. I mean, what competition there, Davis?
Yeah, the other O'Shea brother, I laugh all the time, when the kids are going, they're running their 40s, and the fast kid goes and the slow kid goes. He said, "What was my time?" And he says, "Kid, I don't know. I don't have a sundial."
Yes.
lose it every time he does that. So, but rocking and rolling, we'll keep it rolling here. We're going to jump right into 5A. Rather than take a break, we're going to go right into 5A, and we will look at our 5A rankings. And before we do that, I'm just going to say, hey, it's all West Point. Okay, that wraps up our 5A rankings, and we'll just move on, right? Because I mean, come on now, it is it's West Point, right? That's what they do there in Clay County, the West Point Green Wave, but they have to be maybe the favorite to repeat, as we will go ahead and take a look at the top 10. Coming in at number 10, Van Cleve at number 10, South Jones at 9, New Hope is at 8, Laurel coming in at number 7, Holmes County Central is at 6, and in the top 5 you go with Cleveland Central, Stone, the Tomcats, one of my favorite mascots in all of Mississippi, and then top 3 you got Wayne County, Brookhaven, and as we mentioned, the West Point Green Wave. So guys, once again, we'll just go right into it. Championship picks, sleeper, and championship winner. You obviously know I'll go first this time. I have West Point and Laurel tying up in the championship, and I'm taking the Green Wave because you don't bet against the Green Wave. And then my sleeper is going to be, just like I said, the Stone Tomcats. Love that mascot, and they have 14 starters coming back. So Stone Tomcats could throw a wrench in things, but it's all Green Wave for me. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'm going to go with West Point for sure. I mean, had a chance to be up there this week, and let me tell you, these guys right here, I mean, look, they're a level ahead of everybody. And look, Brookhaven, there's some nice stories. Brookhaven's going to be a very good team. Wayne County, much improved. They had a little bit of a run last year. I think you look at Laurel and what Ryan Ernest has done. They're going to be, right there in the mix. So is, South Jones Florence. I think, Rod Davis is doing some good things over at Florence. But at the end of the day, I mean, West Point returns 11 starters on defense. They return, I think, 9 on offense, a starting quarterback, a coaching staff that, has longevity. Most of those guys have been there 10 plus years. Some of them 20 years. They know how to play. Coach, Brett Morgan has done as good a job as anybody you could ask to come in for Chris Chambliss. He won a championship last year, and I think West Point, walks to a championship this year. I have no sleeper. I guess the only sleeper would be is if their bus breaks down and they have to forfeit. So we'll give the sleeper pick to the bus breaking down in 5A.
It's hard to roll against the Green Wave.
What would they call that? Rat poison? Coach Morgan is shaking his hand at you right now, Jake, but you're right.
Bulletin board material, right? So, but yeah, Brandon, let's hear what Davis has to say about 5A.
Well, I like West Point, obviously, Brett Morgan. I just like what they do up there. Jake talked about it and alluded to it. Just the physical football that they play. It's my favorite style of football have out there. But I like Brookhaven, Old Brook, making their way up to Starkville this year. A 11-2 team last year. Darian Dorsey takes over that program. He inherited 16 starters coming back, Jake. 9 on offense, 7 on defense. I really like what they're doing down in Brookhaven. And really my sleeper this year, a couple of sleepers. Holmes County Central is loaded. And I see Shots shaking his head. What Marcus Rogers has done up there is amazing. They have talent all over the field, top to bottom. And also, take a look at South Jones. Colin Flowers down there at quarterback. That kid came along last year. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. South Jones had a good run last year. They surprised a lot of folks. But as far as winning 5A, we know I got to go with West Point. Somebody's got to prove to me that they can beat them. But I've got West Point and Old Brook playing for the 5A.
Shots, what do you think about 5A?
I'm going to leave the suspense going as long as possible. Talk about a couple of other squads, but right before I circle back, Holmes County, Brandon, again, he nailed it. Marcus Rogers, head coach Marcus Rogers, his farewell tour. 8 D1 signees, guys, at Holmes County. I mean, they are stacked. Kind of what we were talking about in 7A with Germantown and a few others, if not now, when. So they've got the talent. Julius Mathis is one of the best tight ends in the state. Terrell Johnson on the defensive side, they've got talent. Brookhaven, man, I'm telling you, a talent for days. They could make a run at it. Cleveland Central, that's my dark horse out of the North. They had a very good year a year ago. Now their quarterback and Beeman's gone, but they still have their running back and Stevens. That kid was really good with 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns last year. But I'm going with West Point over Brookhaven. I think Brookhaven will make it. I think it'll come down to probably Laurel and Brookhaven in the South. And again, that bus, they better find somebody that wants to sneak and maybe get in there and mess the bus up, because problem is West Point, they're such warriors, man, and they're not very far from Starkville. They can walk there in a heartbeat. They'll probably run there and then play the football game and win.
Yeah, so it looks like clean sweep for the Green Wave. Maybe we get a little bit of credit back from the folks up there in the Green Wave community that were upset that we had them at number 3 last week. But Jake, you got to see the folks up there, even our pal Bud Bowen, the Woohoo Mercy. You got to see Bud for a little bit and talk to him up there in West Point. So as you said, seems like most of them were okay with the rankings, but some folks they didn't like the Varsity Voices guys putting the Green Wave at number 3. So that wraps up our second quarter. That's brought to you by Atmos Energy. Call 811 before you dig. So we have 7A, 6A, and 5A completed with those power rankings, brought to you by Pine Straw of America. We're getting ready for halftime, and before we go to halftime, we want to remind you, or we want to say thank you to the Hilton Garden Inn of Starkville. That's the place to stay for the state championships coming up that first weekend in December. And I think that's where our crew is going to be staying there at the Hilton Garden Inn of Starkville. So we appreciate those folks for partnering with us. So we will take our time out and we'll move into halftime. And then when we come back, we'll start the second half and take a look at the 4A and then back into the 3A, 2A, and 1A. You're listening to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire.
When your AC goes out, your sink leaks, or your breakers are tripping, you need help fast from someone you can trust. That's why we work hard to have the fastest service times and the most knowledgeable technicians in Central Mississippi. Our promise to you, at your door in under 24. So don't wait days for others to show up. Call Environment Masters for hassle-free plumbing, electrical, and AC. At your door in under 24, because it's not cool to make you wait.
Every job starts with the right equipment. At Empower Rental Group, we've got what it takes to get you moving fast. Empower Rental Group has it all to get the job, large or small, done right. From pickup to delivery, we're your trusted local rental partner. Rent online at renterg.com. That's renterg.com. Or come by and talk to our friendly team today. Empower Rental Group, built for the job.
And welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast here as we wrapped up our halftime. We stretched our legs, and we're getting ready to start the third quarter. It's presented by Empower Rental Group. You deserve a better rental experience. RentERG.com. And as far as the third quarter goes, we're going to take a look at we're going to start off with 4A and then roll right into the 3A rankings. So we're just going to go over the top 10. The rest of them will be at scrn.live. Coming in at number 10 will be the Panthers of Amory. Then at number 9, hey, it's the Fighting Brandon Davises from Greene County. Coming in at number 9, it's the Shannon Red Raiders at number 8. Past Chris Chan is number 7. Senatobia number 6. Getting into the top 5, you have New Albany. Then you have West Lauderdale in the top 3. You're looking at Columbia. Then the top 2, Louisville, no surprise there. And then the defending champs, the Hornets of Poplarville. Jake, start us off. Let us know what 4A looks like.
Yeah, Poplarville gets the nod just because they are the champions. They did lose a quarterback and a couple guys in that backfield, but they're going to return a lot of guys back. When you look at Louisville, they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. But Jernigan, the freshman running back from last year, now a sophomore, he's going to be one of the better ones in the state. You look at their offensive and defensive fronts, they're going to continue to play really, really good football. For me, I think it comes down again to, Louisville. For me, the championship game is for me, it's Columbia and Louisville. I'm going to go Columbia and Louisville for the championship game. Columbia team, Chip Bilderback is back in Columbia after Lance Pogue spent a year there and headed to Brandon. He's back in Columbia. They were a 9-win team last year, and I like Louisville to come back and get a championship that they lost there in maybe the most exciting championship game we saw last year between Poplarville and Louisville. So give me Louisville to win the championship. Give me Columbia out of the South. And if I'm picking a sleeper, oddly, you would say the number one team is not a sleeper, but I think Poplarville puts it back together and makes a run here.
Yeah. So, Brandon Davis, what do you think about 4A? What do you know about the folks down there in your neck of the woods at Greene County, but also give us your championship picks?
I'm going to tell you this 4A, and I was talking to Jared about this earlier. When we get down to the lower classifications in our state, it is so tough. We have so many talented teams, a lot of parity, and this is what you see in 4A. And I love the two top teams, Poplarville, Louisville, just fantastic teams. Greene County, there's a team I really love. I love Greene County. I'm not just saying that. Larry Dolan comes over. Head coach, we lost Mike King. He went down to Hancock this year. You bring Larry Dolan over, and he's got one of the best players in the country in Jace Matthews playing out there at wide receiver. It's going to be interesting to see how they go at Greene County. They've been doing more of an air raid with Mike King. Now you come in with Larry Dolan, who runs the wing tee. Shots, you and I seen Larry Dolan at D'Iberville with Warren Central a few years ago. Very physical style of football. But I tell you, when it all shakes out, I do like Louisville and Poplarville making it back to the title game. I think Poplarville is just too good with Ty Keys. Sam Lejeune on the defensive line is a playmaker. You're going to learn more and more about him throughout the year. But I'm going to give the nod to Louisville this year. They lost by a toe. And when I say a toe, it was a toe last year. Just too much with Journey to get running back. Too much talent up there in Winston County. I like Louisville. But as far as some of my dark horses, I love Kosciuszko, Breck. We've talked about that. Caden Wade at quarterback, I think he is one of the kids that's really going to elevate himself this year and step up. And then I'm going to talk about my favorite player of all time in all the state, the true fullback, Jackson Schultz. Schuler, excuse me, Jackson Schuler. Why did I say Schultz? Schuler. And why I got his name wrong, but I love the kid. Put a bull collar on the kid and let him run. He is amazing at fullback, 6'2", 200 pounds. I love Kosciuszko being a sleeper this year. It's just time to see if they can get over Louisville.
Yeah, Chris Brooks had your boy Jackson Schuler, number 9, tied in the Mississippi Gridiron Magazine that dropped this week. So when we get back to my picks, I might be talking a little bit about the whippets of Kosciuszko, but we'll go over to Jared Schatz to get his thoughts on 4A.
Yeah. Before I dive into my championship picks, I'll give you a couple of sleepers, dark horses, if you will. Mendenhall did not have a good year last year, 4-6, but they have a ton of guys back, 14 returning starters. Nobody's talking about them. A great program in Mendenhall. New Albany, returning quarterback and Blake Shettles, one of the best O-linemen in the state in Emmanuel Tucker. They'll make some noise. And Jake touched on Coach Bilderback coming back to Columbia. They've got a pair of 1,000-yard rushers in Lewis and Daniel, so they're going to be knocking on the door in the South. And Kosciuszko, the fighting Breck Rileys, 19 returning starters led by Caden Wade. Man, I really think that's probably my number one sleeper dark horse, if you will. But after all that, me and Mr. Brandon Davis are pretty much on the same page. I have got Louisville and Poplarville basically getting after it again. There's no love lost between these two. That was known during the game and after the game last year and right now. But Louisville is I think they're going to win this thing. I think they're going to get their revenge, and they're going to beat Poplarville.
The Wildcats, they always just they reload over there in Louisville. So quickly, I'll give my thoughts as far as my picks. I'm going Poplarville out of the South. The Hornets, obviously, they got what they got. They got some guys coming back. I'm going different out of the North. I'm going with New Albany. New Albany out of the North to make the championship game. They got the Shettles kid coming back at quarterback. New Albany was undefeated last year until they ran into, was it Louisville in the playoffs? I'm pretty sure they ran the table in the regular season, and so they got a lot coming back. But I will talk about the Whippets right there, the old Kosciuszko Whippets, as you guys have talked about with they are my sleeper pick because I obviously see them in and out. Boy, they lost one starter on offense, 2 starters on defense. All the quarterbacks coming back. Every one of the skill position guys is coming back, and so they got a lot of firepower there with Caden Wade, as Brandon mentioned. You got Jackson Shula, who's a Swiss Army knife. He can go fullback, he can go H-back, he can go tight end, he can go slot, he can drive the bus, fill the water cooler. I mean, he can do just about anything. And then over on the defensive side of the ball, you got a Ricari Covington, who led the team. And the kid had, ungodly numbers last year, over 100 and something. Was it 120 tackles? Maybe, I don't know. It was some crazy number. It set a record for Kosciuszko on defense. So yeah, Kosciuszko, that could be there in the end in the mix. All right, that wraps up the 4A Power Rankings, brought to you by Pine Straw of America. We're just going to keep it right on rolling and go into 3A, the 3A rankings. And as always, looking at the top 10, you got Coahoma County, another one of my favorite mascots, the Red Panthers of Coahoma County. And then you got Raleigh coming in at number 9. West Marion is number 8. Kossuth is number 7. Independence is number 6. And then you get to the top 5, Noxubee County. And then it's North Panola. And then the top 3, you're looking at Winona, Jefferson Davis County, and then the defending champs, Choctaw County, the Chargers.
Yeah, I think it's, one of those, classifications where it could be wide open, absolutely wide open in 3A. And, Choctaw County, a program that has really come up, into its own over the last several years. They're going to be right there in the mix. Talked to Lance Mancuso at the coaches clinic. He really likes his team at JDC. And you talk about Winona and then some teams like Noxubee and some others. For a championship game, I'm going to go Noxubee County versus Jefferson Davis County. I think Noxubee County is back in this thing this year. Jefferson Davis County out of the South, I think there's 2 or 3 other teams that could be there. But I like Noxubee County to get a win for the state championship this year out of that Golden Triangle area. And if you're going for a sleeper here, Choctaw County, again, much like I had with Poplarville, not really a sleeper, but got to replace a quarterback, got some other, what can they do now as the hunted? But I do like Noxubee County to win the championship.
Yeah, so Brandon Davis, take a look. Take us through your 3A championship picks and your sleeper.
I tell you, this was the most difficult of the classifications that I had. Like Wim said, you really could throw a dart at a wall on this one. It's so wide open. So many teams that are good through here. Team we're not even showing in the top team down there in McGee at 14. What Chase Courtney's doing there is fantastic work. But I like Jeff Davis County. Lance Mancuso is one of my favorite coaches. It's time for them to get back to the state title game. As Jake said, he is very fond of this team, likes their makeup, the way they look. You've got 7 offense returners, 7 on defense. Elijah Fairley at quarterback. He's a kid that's very dynamic, running that wing T offense, and they've got a veteran offensive line down there. I really like them. And I like Choctaw County coming back. KJ Cork at quarterback is great. Yeah, they lost the Cunningham kid at wide receiver, but they have a lot of talent up there coming out of the Ackerman area, and I really like those 2 teams. I like JDC to win it all. Like I said, it's been too long since they've won a title, and I think it's their year. If I had a sleeper, and this is a team that it really flew under the radar last year, Breck, is Seminary down out of South Mississippi. Mitch Evans, if you guys remember him, was the coach at Taylorsville. He went 43-3 for the Tartars. He goes over to Seminary. I believe they went 10-3 last season, got in the playoffs, made a good run. They've got a quarterback, Brady Chancellor. Y'all need to go watch some tape on him. Really like this kid. And I think with what Mitch is able to do, the type of coach he is, the way the kids buy into his program, Seminary is a team that really could fly under the radar this year in 3A.
Yeah, and I'll jump in and go with my picks on the back of that. Seminary is my sleeper as well, Brandon. We saw a lot of those guys. Seminary won the baseball championship this year, a few months ago, and Eric McCollum and some of those guys that were on the baseball team, they're right there on the football team as well. So they got the athletes down there in Seminary. So that's my sleeper. But as far as my picks, I'm going with Choctaw County and taking a look at the Lions of Raleigh. I like Raleigh to be there. That we know the type of athletes they put out. Was it 2022? Satarian Perkins, he was there. At Southern Miss, he had a big game there. So I like Raleigh to be there, and then I'm going with Choctaw County, right up the road for me, right there in Ackerman. I'll see them week 5 or week 6. Kosciuszko goes hosts Choctaw County, so I'll get to see KJ Cork and crew when they come here. Sort of a rivalry. Coach Casey Orr is from Ackerman. Kosciuszko's coach is from Ackerman, so big game there. But I think Choctaw County has the tools to repeat there in 3A. But throw it across to Jared. What are your thoughts on 3A?
Yeah, Noxubee County. I know Kamario Taylor's gone. Too many returning starters. We know how they replace talent. 15 guys coming back. Better catch them early. Stop if you heard me say that before, but better catch them early. Choctaw County, defending champs. A lot of guys back, but KJ Cork, man, just a touchdown machine. Y'all touched on him. 43 touchdowns last year. Miller back at running back. Had over 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns. And Choctaw County is going to be in it. I'm with Brandon. This was the hardest one. I went back and forth. I changed my pick a couple times. I had JDC originally, and I think they're going to be outstanding. And I still, this is the one, I don't know. I really don't know. JDC, they're due. It's time for them to get back. But I had them initially. I changed it. I do have Noxubee out of the north. And Breck Riley stole my thunder. I'm going with the Raleigh Lions as well. This football team was very good a year ago, 12-2. They returned 13 of those guys, not getting any love really. A lot of productivity back, especially on the defensive side. And listen to this, if these stats are correct. They only allowed 6 points a ball game last year and forced 30 turnovers. So if with all those guys coming back, if they can manufacture some offense, they're going to be okay. But I really expect Raleigh to be good. But JDC is going to be right there with them. Look, 3A is going to be the one to watch this year. I'm telling you.
Yeah, very, very competitive. As you mentioned, you had teams like Kossuth and what did we say? McGee. McGee didn't even really get much mentions, and McGee was they were undefeated last year, right? Until Noxubee County, were they? Yeah, I think they were undefeated until they ran into Noxubee County, and so they didn't even get much mentions here. And that's the type of competitiveness that you're looking at here in 3A. But that does wrap up this third quarter, brought to you by Empower Rental Group. So we have just 2 left. We have 2A and 1A left, and then we're going to take a look at the All-State team. And then we'll jump over to the MAIS. So when we come back, we will keep it rolling here on the Varsity Voices podcast, presented by Spire.
We don't treat cancer, or design breathtaking buildings, or slow cook the town's most talked about barbecue. That's all you. You're the ones who create and astonish, game and laugh, who come together and imagine a safer, more connected world. The things you do inspire us every day. So much so, it's right there in our name. Customer inspired. Spire. Inspired by you.
Never settle when building or remodeling your home. You may think you can't afford brick, but you can. For less than $1 a day, you can own a full brick home. The money you save on painting, heating, and cooling costs, along with lower insurance, will put money back in your pocket. Go to CherokeeBrick.com to see how affordable brick really is. Spend less, save more on the look you want. Cherokee Brick. Life's just better with brick.
Put your fours up. It's fourth quarter here on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire. We're getting ready to wind down the MHSAA Power Rankings. This fourth quarter segment is built by Cherokee Brick, America's most trusted brick supplier. So we are going to go with the 2A and 1A. So we'll go right ahead, jump into the 2A Power Rankings. Once again, we want to remind you that we're just going over the top 10. The rest of them will be online, scrn.live. Coming in at number 10, it's going to be Bruce. And then you take a look at number 9. It's the Hornets of Lake Eupora, the Eagles. Number 7 is going to be Scott Central. Number 6 is going to be Brandon Davis's favorite mascot, the Urchins of East Union. MAIS is coming in at number 5, and then you get the top 4, East Webster, the Wolverines, the Charleston Tigers, and you got Velma Jackson, and number 1 is going to be Coach Carter and the defending Oilers of Heidelberg. So, guys, once again, let's jump right in and go with it. Championship picks, sleeper, and the overall champ for 2A. Jake, what you got?
Yeah, this is, again, one of those that I'm not going to try to, sugarcoat it and sex it up to be something that it's not. Look, Charleston is a team that can be there again. I mean, they return a quarterback in Olive who is going to be a junior. He's a kid who, threw for 1,635 yards. They have a running back, Flowers Jr. He'll be a junior himself, 1,900 yards off last year. But when it comes down to it, guys, it's all about Heidelberg, and it's about what they have. And this is going to be one of those, I think, where Heidelberg, skates to a championship over a Charleston team. Velma Jackson, really good. They still return a lot on that team, but I still don't think Charleston or Velma Jackson have enough to deal with Heidelberg. And if I'm going with a sleeper pick, much like West Point, it's the bus breaking down. Heidelberg doesn't make it, and whoever's there, they win by forfeit. And that's no disrespect. I just think Heidelberg's that good. We saw them last year. They returned most everybody, and boy, they play with swagger, and they are fun to watch.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Heidelberg got some swag, and led by Chase Kraft, their quarterback. So, Brandon Davis, what do you think about 2A? Is it all about the Oilers?
It's hard not to be all about the Oilers. Like Jason, you got Heidelberg and everybody else. Heidelberg is really they've set themselves apart in the South. A team that I like from the North, though, that almost got there last year, Ron Price's team up at East Webster. Great program up there. They play good football. Cooper Stedman at quarterback does a great job of leading that team. I got Heidelberg and East Webster making the 2A game. Of course, Heidelberg, they're just too much. Probably the best quarterback in the state, or best athlete in the state, leading them at Heidelberg. But a team that I do like as a dark horse, go all the way down here to Lincoln County to Lloyd Star. Just the Hornets of Lloyd Star, just a great program down there, led by a big offensive lineman, Joe Taylor. Jordan Keys at running back, Jake, over 2,000 yards running the football. He is a kid that we're going to talk a little bit later. And then on the back end at defense, Cooper Creel comes in. He's a safety, not quite the size of a linebacker, more of the safety play, but a kid with a high motor. He's not afraid to put his nose down there to make a tackle. Had about 65 tackles from his safety spot last year. Does a good job of leading that defense. So I really like what they're doing down at Lloyd Star, but, they'd have to get through Heidelberg to get there, and I just think that it's just too much for the Oilers. I got Heidelberg winning it all.
So, Jared Schatz, Heidelberg seems to be, everybody's favorite. I'll go ahead and tell you, I've got Heidelberg in as my representative from the 3A. And so I'll get back to my other picks here in a bit. But what do you think about the 2A power rankings?
Yeah, Heidelberg, Charleston, right? We've seen that 2 years in a row. They split that. East Webster now is in 2A. 12-2 last year, 12 returning starters. Cooper Stidham back at quarterback. Young man that had over 2,000 yards through the air, 14 touchdowns. Kemper County, 10-2 last year. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They've got Demarius Yates, Ole Miss commit. So, they've got a lot of talent. Lloyd Star was one I had. MAIS. Nobody's really talking about MAIS, 8-4 last year. How about Bay Springs? We saw them in Hattiesburg a couple of championships, in a row a few years back. 15 starters back on a team that went 9-4. So, those are a lot of sleepers for you. When it comes down to it, I am going to take East Webster out of the north and Heidelberg out of the south. Give me Coach Carter and the oil derricks, right? Those famous oil derricks. I know Jake Wimberly knows what I'm talking about. I know he knows. He's had a famous picture with Coach Carter and the famous oil derrick. So yeah, give me Heidelberg. Too much talent coming back.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I said I had Heidelberg there as my champ in 2A, and I'm going with Kemper County, a team that you mentioned, Jared. They're coming down from 3A, and Demarius Yates, I've seen him 2 years in a row. Kosciuszko played them 2 years in a row the past few years to open the season, and Yates is the real deal. Last year, very first play of the 2024 season, Yates takes a kickoff back like 75 yards for a touchdown. Yates is the real deal. So I have them in the championship game there, but also my sleeper would be East Webster, another team that you guys have talked about, 12 starters coming back, and they made it to North State. They went 3A North State last year. So they've got that, they've got that pedigree, and they are just, a great team. So I think East Webster is going to be the sleeper. But speaking of Wimberly, again, and his pal, Coach Carter, no wonder Wimberly is taking the Oilers. Because just look at that. Look at that.
Best fashion in football, right? That is the best fashion, regardless 1 through 7A. That man, he's got it locked down, 1,000%.
What are you going to tell him to get us some chains?
Did you know that he was on that championship team last year? He was the offensive and defensive coordinator as well as the head coach.
Yeah, I ain't surprised.
Love Coach Carter, man.
I ain't surprised. He's fantastic. I need to get a replica of that chain. I'll wear it on our show.
Like I said, you send it to us, man.
And look, everybody talks about their offense, and rightfully so, with Chase Kraft and the gang on offense. Dude, the defense gave up 5 points a ball game last year. It's insane.
And for those that may be listening, on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, it's Jake Wimberly and Coach Carter in Hattiesburg last year after the Oilers had won the championship, and they're just having fun on the little side set right there that Jake hosts after championship games. And Coach Carter it's just think of the Houston Oilers, right? That old Derrick, and it's a chain wrapped around his neck. I mean, that is just Coach Carter all style, and hey, that is your 2A favorite, and we all think that they are going to make it back to the championship and bring home another gold ball. So that is the 2A Power Rankings, brought to you by Pine Straw of America. Now we'll roll right on into the 1A rankings, right? That's another fun, 1A, it's different down there in 1A when you go to the small schools, right? These guys have some of them don't even come off the field, right? Because they only have like 25, 30 players on the team. So a lot of these guys are going, but it's a fun classification to watch and a tough one to break down because there's a lot of good teams in 1A. So we'll just jump right into it, going with the top 10. You have Noxapater over in Winston County. Then you got Leake County coming in at number 9. Calhoun City is at number 8. They dropped down from 2A to 1A. LaFleur County at number 7. West Tallahatchie, the Choctaws, I believe, of West Tallahatchie. Then at the number 5 spot, it's going to be Faulkner. And then you get the usual suspects. You got Biggersville, and you got Lumberton at number 3, Vardaman at number 2, and no surprise here, over from the Mississippi Delta, you got Simmons at number 1. So, Jake, let's get your picks for the small school ranks and the 1A guys. Who's going to be there and who is your sleeper?
Always a fun group to watch. I mean, it really is when you start talking about Ironman football and guys that can really get after it. And, for me, it's Hollandale Simmons, formerly Hollandale Simmons, now just Simmons. Just that's how old I am. That's what I remember them as forever. I like Simmons and I like Lumberton to battle it out for the championship here. And, if you're looking for a sleeper, look somewhere maybe like a Calhoun City, a team that has been to a ton of championships and, they won a couple as well, but they've been to more that they've lost than they've won. So I like Simmons over Lumberton, but give me Calhoun City as a team that could come out of nowhere to win this thing.
All right, I'll jump right in with mine. I'll go with I'm thinking Calhoun City, not my sleeper. I'm picking for my champ. I got Calhoun City and Lumberton in the championship game. As Jake mentioned, always when a team comes down from a classification, right? You got a little bit of an edge there. So I'm going with Calhoun City, and Lumberton's just a powerhouse. They're due to make it back. But my sleeper, we're going to go over to Winston County, but not Noxapater. I'm looking at Nanawaya. The Warriors of Nanawaya got to see them some. They came over to Kosciuszko, do some 7-on-7 this year. Cade Massey, the quarterback. You got Grant Kitchens, big offensive lineman, committed to I believe Southern Miss. Chris Brooks had him as the 1A offensive player of the year in the preseason. The Warriors returned 16 starters. That's a program that's got a little bit of a tradition as well. So give me Nanawaya as the sleeper there in 1A. So let's throw it over to Brandon Davis, and he'll talk to us about his picks in 1A.
I think you stole my homework, Breck, because
I did.
Two very, very common. Well, you shouldn't, because most time I'm wrong.
I did.
I like Calhoun. I love Calhoun City out of the north. I think dropping down from 2 to 1 is going to be very advantageous for them. MD Jennings is a great football coach. I know they hadn't had the success on winning the big game, but they have the involvement. They have a great football coach, a good staff. I really like Calhoun City, but I am a huge John Ladner fan down at Lumberton. They are offensive line heavy. This is going to be a veteran group on the offensive line. They can run the football. I think they're going to do enough to get to Starkville, and I have them winning it all. I'm telling you, Lumberton is a powerhouse. They have a great coaching staff. And anytime you can have, in these smaller schools, when you have depth and you have a good offensive line like what they have, you can really make some headway. So I like them. And I tell you, my sleeper here in 1A, there's numerous ones I could have went with. Obviously, Vardaman's a very good team. Biggersville's a very good team that could make it. But I like Dan Brady and Stringer making some noise. Dan Brady won a title. Jerry talked about it at Bay Springs a couple of years ago. He's now the head coach at Stringer. Jaheim Campbell, guys, I want y'all to remember his name. He had almost 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns last season for the Red Devils. This is a very good football team, a very well-coached team with Dan Brady, and I like Stringer to make a little noise in 1A this year.
Stringers, they got athletes down there. They've won 1A in softball and girls volleyball past few years. So they got athletes there in Stringer. But Jared Schatz, what's your thinkings and your picks for the smaller classification, the 1A guys?
Yeah, I mean, Simmons is definitely on my watch list. They're a contender. Lumberton, I'm with Brandon. The more I read about them, the more I wanted to keep reading about them. I think they're going to be outstanding. That was a team that was so close last year. I think would they make the third round of the playoffs last year before losing 11 guys back from a 10-3 team. So Lumberton's going to be there. Nobody's talking about Taylorsville. I know they have a new coach, but they made the third round of the playoffs too, and they bring back 16 from that squad. So I know there'll be a learning curve, but again, Taylorsville, once they get over that, look, we know about Taylorsville, right? We covered them on the greatest programs of all time. Give me Calhoun City. Those guys dropping down from 2A to 1A, that gives them definitely an advantage, I think. Instantly, I think they've got to become the favorites, right? So I think you got to take Calhoun City. I'll take them out of the north. Give me Lumberton out of the south. I expect that to be an absolute war if these two teams make it. I'll give the nod to Calhoun City, but just barely to win the championship in Starkville.
And while that wraps up our rankings, we want to give you the Varsity Voices podcast All-State Team presented by Farm Families of Mississippi. And each week, Farm Families of Mississippi is going to present our player of the week. But we will take a look at the first team. We will have the rest of them online at scrn.live. So taking a look at your first team quarterback, you're going to be Chase Kraft from Heidelberg, the junior, going across. Who's going to be blocking for him across that offensive line? You got Bryson Cooley from West Jones at tackle. And then at another tackle, you're going to have Dalton Toothpin from Van Cleve. Your two guards are going to be Aiden Nowell from Brandon and Donnell Robinson from Holmes County Central. And then Gunnar Goodwin from Kossuth. That's going to be your center. And then taking a look at the athlete or running back, whichever one you want to call it there, it will be, or I should say athlete, it is Kason Conant from Hancock, and then wide receiver, you got Jace Matthews from Greene County, Tristan Keys from Hattiesburg. Zay Cotton is going to be your first team tight end. Your running back, no surprise here, Jaden Hill from Tupelo, and then Tyson Robinson from Brandon. Taking a look at your defense, your couple of defensive ends to look at. You got Nolan Wilson from Picayune, Micah Nickerson from South Pike. Your two defensive tackles, you're going to have Jaden Curtis from St. Martin and Corey Wells from Petal. Your linebacking core in the middle, Ashton Moore from Brandon, another linebacker outside, B.J. Payton from Noxubee, and Caleb Triplett from D'Iberville. And cornerbacks, defensive backs, cornerback Iverson McCoy out of Tupelo, and then Radarian Daniels out of Lake Cormorant. And safety, strong safety, Tylen Wilson from Pascagoula and Javian Wilson from West Lauderdale. Taking a look at your specialist place kickers, Jonah Artman from Warren Central. Your punter is going to be Jordan Gaskins from East Webster. Your punt return, Ashton Grice from Baldwin. And kickoff return is going to be Gavin Howard from Holmes County Central. Guys, quickly, anything you want to mention about the first team Varsity Voices offense, defense, or special teams presented by Farm Families of Mississippi? Anything stand out to you there?
Well, I would put them up against the Dallas Cowboys, but that's just me.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people is going to say Sladen Shack out of Brandon is going to be the best quarterback in the state, and it's hard to disagree with that. I really like Chase Craft though. As a sophomore, Jake, he threw for 72%, and when you watch the tape on this kid, it's not a lot of check down stuff. It's finding zones. So for what he was able to accomplish as a sophomore, I was very pleased to see that. And the best offensive lineman that I've seen in the state this year, watching film, Dalton Toothman down from Van Cleve, Kevin Fant coaching him down there. I think he's the most complete lineman that we're going to see. I know there are others that the recruiting profiles are higher on and recruiting agencies are higher on, but I thought Toothman was the best lineman that we have in the state this year.
Yeah, I think it's extremely deep class. You talk about several players, and if you see this on the website, the second team and the third team, you could interchange a lot of these guys. It's very, very tough to pick an all-state team. When you start looking at the senior class of guys in the state, I think 247 Sports and On3 represents this. You've got some really, really high-end talent that's going out of the state. That junior class is really, really good. Sophomore class. So, as always, the state of Mississippi just loaded with talent, from one end of the state to the other.
Can we call Jaden Hill and Tyson Robinson Thunder and Lightning? I know it's overused, but if there really ever was a duo, it would be these two guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, and hey, they're about to face off here in a few weeks. Nothing like starting strong right out of the gate with two of the premier players in the state of Mississippi going to tie up there. And hey, Jake gets to call that one. So we're all jealous of Jake being on the call for that one for Tupelo and Brandon. But that is the Varsity Voices first team All-State presented by Farm Families of Mississippi. And if you're watching, you can see it on the screen there that Player of the Week, Farm Families of Mississippi is going to be naming a Player of the Week, and they're going to get some swag there each week. We will send them a shirt, and then hopefully we'll be able to get them maybe opening it, putting it on if we can, right? And so we appreciate Farm Families of Mississippi. Mississippi needs farmers. So that wraps up our regulation. But, it's football, right? Because what happens in football sometimes? You get overtime. So that's where we're about to go. We are about to go to overtime, and we will turn our attention to the private school ranks, the MAIS. So here's the end of regulation. When we come back, we'll continue here on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire.
From our view on this farm, food security is national security. Our nation must have a sustainable food source. Keeping the supply chain moving and food on our grocery store shelves by growing the cleanest food in the world.
We're only one of thousands, but we are united as one to grow the food, fiber, and shelter you need every day because Mississippi needs us. Mississippi needs farmers, the Farm Families of Mississippi.
At Fowler GMC, our customers have been our priority for over 70 years. That same dedication happens today as we offer a wide range of options to cater to every taste and budget. Whether you're looking for a luxurious and versatile SUV or a powerful truck, we have it all. Our knowledgeable team is here to assist you every step of the way, and we are committed to providing fast and courteous service. Visit us today and experience the difference for yourself. Trust, service, and selection. Fowler GMC.
It's free football here on the Varsity Voices podcast, or free podcast, whatever you want to call it, right? Free something, because it's overtime as we get ready to continue to take a look at the MAIS. This overtime segment is brought to you by Fowler GMC. And the drive to the championship, Fowler GMC in Pearl built our reputation on trust, serving Mississippi since 1953. And as always, we're brought to you by Spire. If you want game-changing technology, then you need Spire on your team. 5G, wireless, fiber home internet, and best-in-class business solutions. Spire, customer inspired. Let's take a look at the MAIS, sort of a reshuffling, if you will, for MAIS and private schools this year. They had gone 1A through 6A. They're going back down. There's just, 4 classifications now, and kind of doing some different tiers and things like that. But we're just going to jump right into our power rankings with the top 10 for the MAIS, starting off with the big boys, the 4A. You got Mag Heights at number 10, Oak Forest at number 9, Copiah Academy number 8, Lamar is number 7, Simpson Academy is number 6. And starting with the top 5, you got Park Lane, and then you got the big 4 in the metro area. JA is number 4, MRA is coming in at 3, Jackson Prep is 2, and the defending state champs Hartfield coming in at number 1. Guys, we'll do the same thing. We'll go around and give us championship picks, a sleeper and a championship, who's going to win it. And we'll start with the best hair, Jake.
So, yeah, guys, if we're starting in Class 4A, I mean, I don't know that anybody still knows what the MAIS did here, because talking with Craig Bowman at Hartfield a few weeks ago, he even said, hey, look, this needs some reform. I don't know if they took calculus and then maybe put a derivative with it and then some quantum physics and then maybe got Elon. Who knows what they did here? So I'm just going to give you some champions here. Obviously, Hartfield at number 1 here. I think they deserve the number 1 spot, being the back-to-back champions. But I like MRA to come out of this thing and beat Jackson Academy for the championship. Jackson Academy, obviously has had a lot of time in the media this year. Some of it positive, some of it negative, but they've got some of the best players in the state. So I like MRA to beat Jackson Academy for the state championship game in Class 4. And if you're giving me a sleeper pick here, give me Jackson Prep, because I think Jackson Prep is young but very experienced. They love their team. They love the speed that they have. But give me MRA to get the championship back in Madison.
Okay, MRA. So, Brandon, what are you looking at as far as the 4A ranks of the MAIS?
Yeah, I mean, MRA is not a bad pick. Herbert Davis and those guys do a great job. We had a chance to see them in person. Warren Central played MRA in the spring game. Talent all over the field. But I tell you what, Jake, I'm going to go with Jackson Academy versus Hartfield. I'm going to go with Jackson Academy to get over the hump. Too much talent this year. 9-4 last season on the team they have. I think maybe one of the best offensive lines in all of MAIS, with Caden Moss, P.J. Evans, and then Luke New. And then, of course, you talk about the Clinton transfers that come in with Joseph Walker and Aiden Knox, 2 great athletes that are going to come over and help complement what they have there at Jackson Academy. And then T.J. White and Darian Albert on defense, 2 of the best players in the state this year in any classification. So I really like J.A. to get over the hump to win the title in 4A. And a sleeper that I want to talk about, a team I really like and have always admired, is Ron Rushing and his bunch down at Park Lane. 12-2 last season, 16 returners, 8 on offense, 8 on defense. I think that they have a good shot of getting a trophy as well.
And I'll go ahead and jump in and piggyback off of that, because I saw Park Lane last year when they beat Leak in the championship. I was down there taking some pictures on the field, and Park Lane, they are as advertised. And so Park Lane is going to be one of my picks to make it to the championship game. But I think that JA is going to be winning it this year. So I got JA and Park Lane in the championship, and give me MRA. Like I said, if you're a sleeper, right, you call one of the big 4 a sleeper, but I think MRA's got a chance to be there in the mix as well. So, Jared Schatz, what are you thinking about the 4A MAIS ranks?
Yeah, JA's getting all the notoriety, right? I mean, some people call them the Arrows, but we won't go there. Yeah, they've got a lot of guys over at JA, and they probably have the most blue chips of anybody in the state, whether it's MHSAA or MAIS. So they're loaded. I mean, they're going to have a great year. Hartfield, I'm with Jake. A lot of people they have JA number one. I think Hartfield, until you beat them, I mean, they're 26-2 in the last 2 years with 2 state titles. I don't know how they're not number one. Not going to doubt Coach Craig Bowman. They've done a great job. Braylon Womack, an absolute stud at wide receiver. Jackson Prep, to me, they're just replacing too much guys. Only two returning starters back. That's a lot of guys, a lot of bodies to replace, and I think they'll be good. But MRA, that's the one I'm looking at. Sam Stockett, 7 guys back on offense. He's got a really good offensive line, a lot of receivers that he's used to throwing the football to, a lot of chemistry there. And Park Lane was my sleeper with those 16 guys returning from that team a year ago. I'll say this. I'll take Hartfield versus MRA. I like Sam Stockett and MRA to beat Hartfield for the championship.
So there it is. A look at the 4A predictions for our crew in the MAIS. We won't dawdle. We'll run right into 3A. It's starting at number 10 will be Clinton Christian. Number 9, Central Hines. Number 8, Riverfield. Number 7 will be Marshall Academy. Number 6 is Columbia Academy. Number 5, you're looking at Adams County Christian. Number 4 is Bowling Green. Number 3 is Wayne Academy. Number 2 is Leake Academy. And number 1 is Tri-County. And so I'll start off right here and just ask, does anybody think it's going to be anything other than Tri-County and Leake tying up? Because that's my pick. Tri-County and Leake's got, Wilcox coming back, the number 1 passer in the state from a year ago. And then, of course, you know what Tri-County does year in and year out. So that's my pick, Tri-County and Leake. And if I had to say on a sleeper, I'd go with Adams County Christian. They do a lot of good things down there in Adams County. But Jake, we'll throw it to you. Anyone else think it's anything other than Tri-County and Leake?
I think you said it best. And I mean, not to sound repetitive, but I think you framed it up well. Tri-County and Leake, Adams County Christian, a sleeper. And I think it's going to be a heck of a championship game between Tri-County and Leake Academy.
And they're in the same district this year, so they have to play each other. So that they could play a couple of times. So, Brandon, what are you thinking about 3A?
Where the heck does Tri-County get these kids at? I mean, they have talent.
Tri-County? What are you talking about?
Yeah, dumb question, right? I'm wearing my dunce hat over here. But, I mean, think about the talent that they have year in, year out over there. And Philip Watson does a great job of coaching. He has a loaded roster. It's like, year in, year out. I do love Leake Academy, though. George Wilcox, we've talked about him. Garrett Adcock at running back, one of the top running backs in MAIS, is going to be returning. But I'm going to take Tri-County. I think until Leake can beat them, Tri-County's the team. Now, a sleeper that I really like, over in Louisiana, we do have Louisiana teams that are a part of MAIS. I like Riverfield. Don't be surprised if they don't sneak their way in to get one of these championships. 10 returning starters on offense, Jake, and a kid that you need to look into if you haven't, John Cade Ziegler, 6'3", 235-pound defensive lineman, good-looking athlete, really making some noise on the defensive line for Riverfield. So they're my sleeper in 3A.
And if I'm not mistaken, Riverfield is also in the same district with Leake and Tri-County. So, yeah, that is a loaded district there. So, Jared Schatz, does it look anything different to you, or are you rolling right with the rest of us and it's Tri-County and Leake?
Tri-County and Leake. I mean, Tri-County guys, death taxes in Tri-County, hoisting a gold ball in December, right? I mean, 50-4 in the last 4 seasons. Where do they get these guys? I don't know, man, but you talk to people in Flora, Mississippi, and that's all they do over there. I mean, they just play football, and they're some of the best at it in the state. Back-to-back titles, 50-4, as we said, in the last 4 years, 11 guys back. Leake Academy, George Wilcox, I mean, he had 3,600 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, added 9 on the ground as a quarterback. Those two, if they don't make it, something bad happened to them. Couple of sleepers, Bowling Green, Columbia Academy, and I'm with Brandon, Riverfield, 9-3 last year, and they've got their whole offense back. So if there's going to be somebody, it's going to be one of those 3 to contend, but good luck, right?
Yeah, and have you guys seen Wilcox? He is massive. He doesn't look like a quarterback. Kid is huge. I stood next to him at the the camp this year up at Jackson Academy, the 601 Elite Quarterback Camp, and I'm like looking up at him like this, and like this is a quarterback, but he's got, as you mentioned, Garrett Adcock, Major Chandler, who's a big tight end. That kid's huge. He's got that, throw it at him, and he's just got a high football IQ there. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Tri-County Leak Academy in the championship there. I personally would take Leak over Tri-County to end that range. Tri-County's won at 13 regular season games in a row. I think Tri-County's got one of the longest winning streaks in the state going. So yeah, that's a look at 3A, but we'll keep it right on rolling into 2A for the MAIS. And once again, they kind of did the reshuffling. So some of these teams are, you may be wondering if they were 8-man one year, then next year they're 2A or whatever it is. But starting off with Manchester Academy at number 10, then you got Winston Academy number 9, Lee Academy is number 8, Canton Academy number 7, Winona Christian at number 6, North Delta at number 5, it's Greenville Christian at number 4, Centerville Academy at number 3, Kirk Academy number 2, and Greenville St. Joe at number 1. Jake, what are your thoughts on 2A?
Yeah, I like the top two teams. I mean, Greenville St. Joe and then Kirk Academy battling out for a championship. But if you're giving me a sleeper, and this isn't really a sleeper, Centerville, I mean, this is a team that kind of has slid over the last couple of years. But I mean, you look at what they do down in, around Wilkinson County, just right there on that line between Louisiana and Mississippi, Centerville Academy. If you're looking at another one, I mean, Greenville Christian, I mean, the top four right there, I think that's as tough as it gets in the MAIS. And I like Greenville St. Joe to get another championship.
So Greenville St. Joe is Jake's pick. So going over to Brandon. Brandon, what are you thinking about 2A?
I tell you, a lot of good teams here in 2A football. And Greenville St. Joe, a great quarterback. If you haven't heard of Victor Baker, he is a great quarterback up there for Greenville St. Joe. But I really like Centerville, 9 returning starters on offense, 9 on defense. John Austin Sterling, he plays wide receiver, defensive back. Really like the kid. Just a great football player. And Bill Hurst, the legendary Bill Hurst, returns, Jake, for his 49th season as head coach down there at Centerville. I like Centerville beating Greenville St. Joe for the title. My sleeper pick, and it's really hard to call him a sleeper, but Kirk Academy, they were defending state champions in 3A last year. Justin Purvis does a great job up there for them. Got 11 starters returning, and tight end linebacker Andy Redwine. I love that name, but I have Kirk as a sleeper for this year's, and I guess in the 2A.
All right, Jared Schatz, what are you looking at out of these 2A ranks?
Yeah, I mean, contenders, Greenville St. Joe, right? 5 of the last 8 titles. You got Victor Baker back at quarterback. Last year, he was the Offensive Player of the Year. Kirk Academy, 13-0 last year. They're 25-1 in the last 2 seasons, and defending champs. So, and they have Gage Vance back at running back. But Centerville, again, 18 returning guys off a 6-6 team. Don't sleep on them. Cade Redmond at quarterback. But I'll say Greenville St. Joe is going to get Kirk, and they're going to get their sixth title out of 9 years, and the dynasty continues as Greenville St. Joe is back on top.
And as far as me, give me Kirk Academy taking on Centerville for the championship, and then I like the Greenville Christian as my sleeper pick, but I'll take Kirk Academy to repeat as the champs. So that's a look at 2A, and now we get down to the fun stuff, man. The 8-man football. If you've never seen 8-man football, owe it to yourself to go watch it. It's different to watch, but it is very entertaining. So let's run over the 8-man rankings. You got Porter's Chapel coming in at number 10. You got Delta at number 9. Ben Ford at number 8, Tunica Academy. Number 7, Silva Bay is at number 6. DeSoto coming in at number 5. Humphreys Academy, number 4. Newton County Academy at 3. It is Prairie View at number 2 and River Oaks at number 1. So, guys, what do you think about the 8-man? Jake, start with you.
Hey, look, over the last few years, we've seen several of these teams from Delta, Porter's Chapel, Sylvia Bay, Tunica, Newton Academy, Prairie View. I mean, so many teams in 8-man show up. And, if you've got a player or two in 8-man, you can really do some damage. And don't forget this, too. When they get to the championship game at the Brickyard, which, by the way, they do a phenomenal job there at Jackson Academy with these championship games that they put on for the first 3 days. They play on a bigger field on that day than they're accustomed to. I think I'm correct on that. I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure that they do. A little bit wider, a little bit wider space than what they're accustomed to. So if you've got a home run hitter, they can really let loose there. So, but I like, Prairie View to win the thing this year, taking on a Newton Academy. I like those two teams. If you're giving me a sleeper pick, give me Portis Chapel at number 10. I know that's down there at 10, but they have made a run at this before, and I like Portis Chapel as a sleeper.
Brandon Davis, what are your thoughts on the 8-man?
I like the Portis Chapel pick. Blake Purvis just does a great job with the kids here in Vicksburg, and I'm going to invite all of y'all down to come watch Portis Chapel play football. It's like I was telling Shots, it's like watching basketball on grass. It is so fun, so exciting, just a different style of football. I really, really enjoy it. And the way it normally works out is, in our game, we play our last regular season game on Thursday night. So regular season and the 8-man football playoffs is that Friday night after. So like I said, if Portis Chapel's in it, I'm going to invite you guys down to come down and watch some football. But I love 8-man football. I'm going to go with River Oaks and Prairie View. I think River Oaks was a team last year that was blowing everybody out. And I don't know what happened with an ineligible player, but they had to forfeit, I think, 8 of their game shots, something along that line. They went down to Florida and won like some type of a homeschool championship. They're just a dominant team. They're going to have a lot of their team back this year. I like River Oaks to really redeem themselves and to win the 8-man. Prairie View is a good team. But I tell you, a team that's a sleeper really surprised me. DeSoto is a powerhouse obviously up in the north part of the state in Arkansas area or in the Arkansas Delta, and really surprised to see them at 5. I could see them making some noise and winning the 8-man as well.
I just want to go watch a game. I mean, Davis sold it to me. I want to get in the car right now and go watch this. Wimberly, I'm picking you up on the way, and Breck, come on, let's go. We'll take the helicopter, right? No, I really want to go to one of those games. But 8-man River Oaks. Brandon talked about them and the unfortunate situation they had last year with an ineligible player. They'll be back. Prairie View. I'm going to say Prairie View is going to meet up with Humphreys. So, this is the one where you talk about anything can happen. I mean, I don't know what the size of these teams are, but reading about it, these are the ones where these teams will come out of left field, man. Nobody knows where these guys are coming from because it's just such a wacky game. So I've got to go take it in, right? So Prairie View over Humphreys. I have Newton County as my sleeper. I don't know what I'm picking here. I have no idea, but I can't wait to come watch you guys. So have a great season. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, 8-man football is fun. I got to go watch as I said, I did the League Championship game last year, taking some pictures for them on the sideline. And before that, got to watch some of the 8-man championships. It's just, as Davis said, a fun brand of football to watch. But give me Humphreys Academy and Prairie View of the championship. Humphreys, I got a lot of guys over there. Humphreys County in the public school ranks. They're a pretty good program. The Cowboys of Humphreys County, right? Ben Ingram, our pal, likes the Cowboys of Humphreys County. But then give me, as far as a sleeper, as Brandon said, DeSoto, like those guys. But once again, as Jared mentioned, so many things can happen at 8-man. You be a favorite, you lose one guy, and then your season is just gone because that's just how the things play out there for the 8-man football. But that's a look at our MAIS rankings, and as we mentioned, they're doing a little thing differently with tiered championships. But we'll be here all night trying to go through this champion and this champion. So we just picked sort of the top tier of the of each classification. As I said, they're going to have their little different tiered championships. So we just going with the top ones there. But as far as some guys and players to watch, we don't have an all-state team, as it were, but we do have, as we said, a players to watch list for the MAIS. And so we'll take a look at those guys. We just mentioned a lot of them, and one I'll go right off the top of the bat is George Wilcox. George Wilcox is a guy that I've seen plenty of times. Our radio stations cover Leak Academy. As we said, he is the returning leading passer in the state. 3,623 yards from last or total. He's got 41 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So that's a good one. Of course, Sam Stockett, the quarterback over at MRA. You're looking at some guys like I'm gonna say a name, Davis Caruth, and you're gonna automatically know who he plays for. That's Park Lane. Because the Caruths, they come through Park Lane down there. That's a receiver. Aiden Knox, another one there at JA. You're looking at Amari Johnson from JA. When you get down to running back, Brandon mentioned Garrett Adcock over at Leak. You also have Will Irwin from Winona Christian, who's a really good running back coming back, and Liam Schwartz from Centerville. Taking a look at the defensive side of the ball, you have LaMarcus Jones over at Hartfield, someone like Christian Hopkins at Greenville Christian. Linebackers, and another one, Leak Academy. That's why they're one of the ones that's favorited. Leak Academy, Kobe Kemp, and then you have TJ White over at JA. Looking at cornerback, you have James Downer from MRA. You also have Brody Berkeley from Starkville Academy. You have Jaleel Moore from Greenville St. Joe. You have Barrett Kennedy from JA. And if we're getting into the special teams, you have Eli Adams from Jackson Prep and Hayden McMinn from Hartfield. So these are all some guys to take a look at. What's the kid from the one kid from Hartfield? The stud. What's his name? He's escaping me right now. What's his name, Jake?
Oh, you're talking about Womack, Braylon Womack.
Womack, yeah, from Hartfield. Another one there that we needed to mention as far as our players to watch. But that is a look at the MAIS players to watch, and that is about it as we get ready to wrap things up, guys, on our second ever episode of the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire. So before we do sign off, let's just go around the horn one more time. And, we've kind of talked about the team specifically, but as far as overall, what are you guys looking forward to out of the 2025 season? Let's go with Jake first.
I'm just looking for another great year of Mississippi high school football. I mean, I think there's going to be storylines that populate that we're not talking about just because we don't know. There's going to be a kid or a team that populates that becomes a big story. We know about the big stories, and from Tupelo to Brandon to West Point to, just pick a team, down through the ranks of the Hartfields. I mean, there's a lot of great stories, and just ready to tell those stories. It should be a great year.
How about you, Brandon?
I'm just blessed to be a part of it. I mean, this is one of the most wonderful times of the year. Everybody's undefeated and everybody's got a clean slate. I'm looking forward to trying to, elevate some of the offensive linemen throughout the state. We've talked about that in, the previous episode. I want to elevate those kids. They don't get a lot of attention. We have a lot of good offensive linemen who want to do that. And just elevate these coaches as well of everything they do. But again, just so blessed to be a part of this. It truly is a lot of excitement for me.
Yeah, and Brandon, we're looking forward to you're joining the play-by-play ranks. Going to be taking over play-by-play at Warren Central. Of course, all of us have our play-by-plays. Jake with Brandon, Shots with Germantown, me with Kosciuszko. So that's what I look forward to. Doing the games and week to week preparing, and as Brandon mentioned, really highlighting the kids and the players and the coaches and the communities across the state. So Shots, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me right now is everybody's on cloud nine, right? I mean, everybody thinks they're going to win the championship, and there's only going to be 7 teams, and MHSAA that'll hoist gold balls at the end of the year, and 4 from the MIS, and more than that now. But regardless, there's going to be a lot of teams very happy at the end of the year that had this championship run. But right now, everybody feels like they have a chance. I want to see. Who are the upsets? Who are going to be those first few teams that fall week 1? There's always 1 or 2 that just grabs everybody's attention, so I'm looking forward to that. Want to thank all of our sponsors, Spire, and all of our sponsors for making this possible. But I also want to tell the fans, share and subscribe, share and subscribe. We're not only going to be sending T-shirts out to the Player of the Week somewhere in the state of Mississippi, we are going to send those out to Subscriber of the Week. So we need you to get involved with this show. Look, you guys are going to make it run. Send us your plays of the week. Broadcasters, send us your call of the week. We want to see them, man. We want to be your one-stop shop to where you send everything, and we just show it for the whole world. Show it for the state of Mississippi.
That's right. You got us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the platforms there. Subscribe, and each week, as you said, we'll give out the subscriber of the week. But yeah, I'm really excited about the calls, the play-by-play calls coming in from radio and video guys. Send them to us. Tag us in it at State Champ Radio on X or Twitter. Tag us, and each week we want to highlight that. And another thing, Jared, that we talked about. What we want is if you have what did we say? Great haircuts, right? We want to see the haircuts. We want to see the haircuts. Maybe if anybody's got a good mustache, right? We want to see it all. Everything that makes high school football go. That that's in the locker room with reason that we can put out. That the great things that make it go. Great names. We talked about our all-name team. What King White from Germantown, the quarterback. We want to hear about the great names and all that. We want it to be driven by you, the fans, the coaches, and the players. So send it to us. If we can get it in, we will get it in and highlight you. So that wraps up our second episode of the Varsity Voices podcast presented by Spire. Next time you see or hear us, we'll be breaking down week 1. So for Jake Wimberly, Brandon Davis, Jared Schatz, and Caleb Hamill in our ear, keeping us on track, our producer, I'm Breck Riley. We are the Varsity Voices, signing off for week 2.
Genuine Mississippi, grown and raised and crafted, made genuine Mississippi.